of our partnership and our focus, and anything we can continue to do with the city of Wabasha, we're happy to do.
Thank you, Meg. Well, there's a lot of members of council who've been here for a long time as this has developed, and I'm sure they're very excited to see phase one complete. Does anyone have any questions for Meg?
Yeah, Meg, how many paid 22?
Did you hear the
I'm
question?
sorry,
Meg? 22.
how many paid admissions? We had over 60,000, but that, I reiterate, is because we were closed for a good period of time. So the advantage that we had when we could start reopening during the construction or whatever. So we were at 30,000 between June and the end of the year. We're expecting that we're going to be well over $600,000 of income for visitation, which is 20% above previous years by the end of 2023.
And with the phase one investment, what is your goal for admission, or I guess what's the meaningful goal for attendance?
So our pro forma indicated that we would be above 100,000 in our first 2 fiscal years, and then ultimately be at 125 as a minimum going forward. That was the 125 was phase 1 and phase 2. We are on track to be well above 100,000 in after phase 1.
Well, I don't think it's dramatic to say we're glad that the center survived COVID. I mean, it was a very terrible experience for organizations like the National Eagle Center. I remember sitting before I was in office with a small group of board members talking about, you know, kicking off a capital campaign. And I think somebody said, I guess we just would pray that there wouldn't be a recession. Well, we forgot to pray that there wouldn't be a recession and the pandemic and a period of, restriction on your business type and all those other things. So it was great to see phase 1 coming together. It's beautiful. I know people are eager just even to have the improvements on the path, you know, for local walkers, just to have those improvements. It's really wonderful. So thanks for that report. Anything further from Meg? Thanks for joining us, Meg.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And tell your staff thank you for everything. I know it was a very, very, very big project to manage, and you don't have any construction managers on staff, but I guess now maybe somebody deserves that designation.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about construction in this process, but it's been good. It's been good. Thank you.
We're excited to learn more about phase 2 as that unravels. So thanks so much.
Bye.
All right. We don't have any other public speakers, but we would welcome public comment. I'm going to be a little more deliberate about this because I had somebody give feedback after our December meeting that they didn't know when the public could comment. So this is the time to make any kind of public comment that you'd like. Just come up to the podium just so we can hear and see you, and state your name and address for the record, and share any thoughts you have with council. We just ask that you keep your comments to about 2 minutes or less so that there's time to move forward through our agenda. Are there any public comments? Are there any, including anybody online who would wish to kind of wave a hand and make a comment? That's everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not seeing any, but just because we are in this hybrid mode, everybody from council is in person tonight, but we kind of never know with illnesses and weather what will happen. Just interject. If you don't get a chance to make your public comment, we can make space for that. Just go ahead and interject. All right. Otherwise, we'll move forward to changes and additions to the agenda. I would, because we're kind of working on this toward the tail end of the year when the agenda was being formalized, like to pull from the consent agenda the appointments and designations, just so we can make a little adjustment to that, because we have some applicants who are ready to be appointed if council chooses to do so. So we'll pull consent item 8.3 and move that to general business 10.4. Okay, any further changes by staff or any members of council? All right, looks good. It's pretty straightforward agenda. Yeah. Oh, yes, and that title should be changed. 2023 appointments and annual designations is the correction. All right, so with that, I just want to say Happy New Year. I don't have any resolutions to share with you because my children have been in my midst since December 22nd, and I haven't had a second to think. They're very eager to get back to school, so hopefully that's the case for tomorrow. But I did reflect on this year when I was kind of wrapping things up before the holiday, and I'm very grateful to serve with all of you. Welcome, Jean. It's very nice to have you here. Some of you know Jean well because of his service to the ambulance department as a leader as well as a volunteer. And we will learn a lot, I think, from your county experience. Of course, you guys all know that Jean was also on the school board, so that's a nice tie to make back to the school. We have had success, although it kind of wavered toward the end of the year. I think everyone got so busy with their budgets, but we've had some really good joint school board, county board, council meetings that have been productive. And now there's new leadership in those school board roles. I think that'll be nice to reignite some of the energy that we had in 2022. Lots was achieved. I think we pointed out all the planning documents that were completed. That was a lot of process work for 2022, but it set us up very well to actually do that work in 2023. I think all of us have a much clearer view of the future or what the future could be, pending the availability of funding. So it's just been, it was almost a dizzying year toward the end. So I really appreciate everybody. It was really nice to serve a full term with such consistency in our council. I don't take that for granted. So we wish everybody well, stays well. I don't think Dean would mind me sharing. He's in a better place. He's back in Wabasha now. So he had very difficult struggles through hospitalization over the holidays and was really happy to get back to Wabasha. So we look forward to seeing him. He was sworn in today, as we're our newest member of council and us who are here for a second term or more. So it's just really good to get the year off to a healthy start. And one thing that Meg didn't mention, but one of the programs that's been very successful at the National Eagle Center that I have yet to participate in, but I've always been eager to try it, is to participate in the Golden Eagle Survey. I think the story goes, and John can correct me if this isn't quite right, that the authorities didn't believe there should be golden eagles here year round. And Scott Magus, amongst others, were able to document that they are. And so it's part of a very large orchestrated, I think you can become trained to do it, if I'm not mistaken. So there are a couple of trainings. If you look at the chamber news, it's this week and next where the trainings occur. And I believe the golden count is on the 21st of January. Also, over the latter part of the end of the year, the Bird City volunteers were really busy doing a lot of cool work, and they had the Christmas bird count, I think maybe just like yesterday. So that's a really interesting project as well, and I didn't realize how far that goes back in Wabasha's history, but lots of local involvement. So if you haven't done either of those things, you missed the Christmas bird count, but it will be on your radar for next year, and the Eagle count is coming right up. I think with that, just wish everybody a good beginning of the year, and we'll hear from Caroline.
Okay, just wanted to start out with some January work anniversaries. So we started late last year, so we're still recognizing first time work anniversaries. Darren, please stand, is celebrating. No, this is what people do to me, or they don't want to show up. Is celebrating 8 years as fire chief and 7 years as assistant chief, 6 years as captain, 24 years as an EMT, and 33 years as a volunteer firefighter. And in Joe Stark's words, who couldn't be here, we have one of the best fire departments in the county. And this is thanks to Darren's leadership. And he's given countless hours to responding in emergencies in Wabasha County. He brings a deep passion, knowledge, and enthusiasm for emergency response, emergency preparedness, and for the Wabasha community. And you can't find a better person to be leading our department. So let's give him a round of applause. And then Beth Mueller is celebrating 4 years at the library. She's not with us, but she organizes the summer reading program and other children's programs. She's friendly and helpful. She knows her children's literature. That would be very helpful for me, and she has helped me, and is excited to share her favorite titles with students visiting from the schools. And we're so fortunate to have Beth working at the public library. And finally, Tina Cook has been with the city of Wabasha for 3 years. And in Brian, our new director's words, she's been instrumental in my onboarding and transition phase as director. She goes above and beyond in everything she does. She's very dedicated, works very hard, and cares about the service, the community, and all of her patients. And we are thankful to have her part of the team. So happy work anniversary. We hope that all of them have many more years with us. And I think we'll see what February brings, and then we'll just be going to 5 and 10 year or new employees.
Although they're gonna sneak up on us. I've been in here already for 3 years. All right.
And then, so just real quickly, the athletic field planning is underway and we have a capital campaign underway. I will talk about this in the public hearing, but we have submitted a grant request for $180,000 in additional HVAC replacement projects for another 10 businesses plus administrative costs. Lisa and I are working on delinquent notices for lodging taxpayers. And for me, it's just a reminder that back in the day, they were like, when they created this ordinance, there were maybe a couple hotels in town. So it made sense that the city of Wabasha should get a tiny portion of that money to administer it. But now we're trying to do online sleuthing, look at Verbo. I mean, it's time intensive, but the good news is that we sent $71,000 to our Visitors and Convention Bureau this year, and that was a 36% increase since last year in lodging tax revenue. I have received complaints about the sound quality for the last council meeting.
One of them was from me.
One of them was
But I hate passing on that kind of feedback because it's challenging. It's very challenging.
So we are just trying to put it right there. But it's gonna require an investment if we want to do better than this. So what I will plan to do is just again talk to IT, and we thought the best solution would be like microphones that could kind of connect to Zoom and just keep using the owl for the video quality is probably the best solution. So I will be asking about that. I think some of the feedback I'm looking for is, do we also want to invest in cable TV? Because that could be another thing. And it seems like more and more people are cutting cable, but I know as we speak, we have cable television viewers. So I think there'll be different solutions. They're not going to be the same answer. Has anyone received complaints about cable television viewers? Okay.
I think I was unmiked. I think that's on me. I think there was a meeting where a cable television viewer couldn't hear me share the meeting because my mic was to the side because we were focusing on the in-room, the sort of the technology in your face. And it's just a good reminder for us to always direct our mics at the beginning of the meeting. They do get pushed aside.
Okay. So keep investing in the internet, the YouTube, and
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Emily and I attended a grand opening for the new Main Street building. That was really cool and near Old City Hall and Heritage Park. We received $94,000 in a reimbursement check for the police car and the plow truck. So we've been talking about that a while, but with Tony and Joe's help, we got pictures assembled and you know, and then like I said, jokingly, our commitment is to track these things forever. And if we dare resell that plow truck, we have to report that to the federal government. I don't think that plow truck is going to be disappearing. And then we're just so excited that all the vacant positions are filled with public works and EMTs. We have really energetic new staff bringing some great experience to the city of Wabasha. And then we're working on a legal agreement with the owners for the barge terminal project. That's it.
Thank you so much. Listening so intently, I didn't get back to my agenda. Here we go. All right, so we'll have committee reports. Utilities did not get to meet because of the holiday.
Correct.
Port Authority did meet, right?
Did not
meet.
We couldn't form.
That's right, that's right. But do you want to say anything about the Port Association, just so this group is aware?
So, Wabasha Port Authority is part of the Minnesota Port Association. It is a group of the major ports on the national waterways. So that would be Winona, Red Wing, St. Paul, and Duluth, and Wabasha, because we are also on that same waterway. What that the Port Association does for us is that helps in lobbying the capital for additional funding, and it also helps us in technical support as well. Mayor and I attended the winter meeting, I suppose, virtually, and I think everyone's looking forward to a busy legislative session, and hopefully the Port Association can leverage that to our advantage. And it's fun, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good to sit in and listen to that. I think we need that support. We weren't successful in receiving federal funding, but it was interesting to hear that the city of Duluth was not successful in
Yeah, we
applying
were-
for some of that funding. After 5 tries, they finally got it. So I think it gave me a little bit of a reality check about, you know, the involvement it's just going to require to pursue funding. I'm not a Pollyanna about that stuff, but it was sobering to hear that. So it's nice to have a very nice group of people. Actually, I thought I would be intimidated by them for some reason. So, you know, most of those ports have a full-time port director. So that's who's there in those roles. And then of course there's elected leaders within that. So we're the only little city that doesn't have a full-time, essentially a full-time Caroline working only on port, but it'll be a good, that group will be very resourceful for us. And you did get to go to a prior meeting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they've been very receptive of us and very supportive of us.
Yes.
in our ventures.
Yeah.
Positive.
Okay, just from the viewers online, they just reminded everyone, talk slowly and loudly.
Okay.
Okay,
And they're only receiving our audio through the owl, correct?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll also try to talk at the owl because it's not natural when you want to look someone in the eye and actually communicate with them, but we'll do our best. So if you just give people side glances, it's not because you don't trust them. So you're trying to talk into the owl. All right, and streets did meet, right, today? Did not meet.
No parks.
No streets, no parks,
No
even though there's no update, and there was lots going on, however, so we'll look forward to future updates from streets and parks. And then planning. did not meet. Okay, so the quiet month on the commission side of things, I'm trying to think, HPC also did not meet, no news of any notes from that group. Except for new representation, which we'll talk about in a second. All right, hearing nothing further, does anybody have any announcements? Okay. So we have a consent agenda with one item removed. We have the approval of our full-time wastewater operator. That's exciting. That's Stephen Henthorn. And we have our brush dump lease agreement with the Coners, the fee schedule, which has been updated, January warrants, the 12/6/2022 city council minutes. It's our regular meeting. Gambling application from, I forget, the Wabasha Falcon Youth Baseball, I think. Approval to add 4 firemen to get to their full roster, ambulance radio purchase, and with reception center funds, the approval of license renewals for the year. And do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move it. I'll second.
We have a first from Jeff, we have a second from Tim. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, now this is another time when the public should definitely speak if they want to. This is a public hearing. It's a progress report on the CDBG, which stands for Community Development Block Grant, HVAC, which is heating, ventilation, air conditioning replacement program. So Caroline alluded to this in her update, and she'll tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm just required to do this report for everybody. Doesn't look like we have any public comment.
You never know.
But we provided 7 local businesses in Wabasha, 76,000, and it is just for small commercially owned businesses wanting to improve air circulation and air quality. So the list of recipients is in the report. They included SVJ Creative Designs, Pure Identity Salon, Silver Star, Eagle Valley Chiropractic, the Old Triangle Pub, Local World Gallery, and River Valley Outfitters. And then we got contacted by the state. It was on pause, and now they've asked us that we could amend it. So we preliminarily did some work with more businesses that are interested. Bitter Properties, Marco Realty, the Chocolate Shop. I think they're off, but coming back in spring. Westside Tavern, Slippery's, Broken Paddle, Paul Bush Auto. So they're all in the waiting for the second round of funds. And this just required a lot of my time because some of this is just really explainable, but we did get a lot of interest and actually looking to hear from the public or council if we desire to support another application. Unfortunately, the deadline was before break, so I submitted one, but we don't have to take the money if we get it. So I think in prior feedback, when I went to the Port Authority, they were interested in continuing it. Just because Everyone has an aging HVAC system. So.
No, that's definitely a lot of enthusiasm. We will pause here and open the public hearing formally and let the public speak first, and then council can make any comments or have questions answered after that. So it's 6:38, so we'll open the public hearing and welcome any public comment on this program.
Hi, this is Brenda Pearson from remotely 136 Bridge Avenue. And I am thankful that many of the businesses that applied for it initially got funding and that there's more money to offer out. The only thing that was highly disappointing after doing all of the work is I had to have emergency work done when in December of last year, my heat went out and I have 2 HVAC units that I've replaced. So it is a good thing. I mean, I've shelled out well over $20,000 out of my own pocket. So if it can help the aging buildings in town, I say, and if there's more interest, absolutely apply for it.
Yeah, and thank you, Brenda. And just to respond, that's one thing. If you have an emergency HVAC repair, it can't come in after the fact. So that was disappointing, but I think we have a couple businesses waiting for the funding just to repair some stuff. So yeah, thank you, Brenda.
Thanks, Brenda. Any other comments from the public, either here at City Hall or online? I think everybody else online is staff. Okay, hearing none. I'll ask one more time. Anybody? All right. We'll close the public hearing at 6:40 and welcome comment from council about action on this item.
So if I may, this was reviewed at Port Authority and it was a unanimous consent to support this venture.
Anything further? Otherwise, we could entertain a motion.
I will.
Second. We have a motion. We have a first from Tim, a second from Jean. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Yes, thank you for all the work on this, Caroline. We really appreciate your prior experience. Tyler, my gosh, yes. And for the businesses, it's a learning curve, taking money from the government. I know for some it's very unpalatable, but these programs were developed very carefully to try to help those who are most disproportionately affected. And even though people came up with a lot of solutions to fend for themselves, it's still, I know, impacting people. So hopefully that will be well received. It looks like it will. Okay, and we have a need to elect our 2023 council president. That's a slight update. I don't know who was the president in 2022. I think it was Jeff, or 2020. Thank you, Jeff. So we need a.
It was Craig.
Craig was last. Yeah.
Who hasn't been?
I nominate Tim Wall.
I have a track record of very good attendance, but if I can't be here, you make an excellent mayor-elect.
No, so we got.
I don't plan to.
Well, I'll second that. That was a motion. Oh, you did already.
Okay, so we've got a nomination from John. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a nomination from John and a second to that nomination from Jeff. Will you accept that nomination?
Yeah.
Okay. He's accepting, so we can vote with that knowledge. So if any further discussion, we'll have a vote. We'll see if he votes. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, you'll do a great job. All right. And now we have the second reading of the critical water deficiency amendment to the city code. And Brian shared a little bit about this last meeting, but it wasn't quite ready for us. Anything else we need to know, Brian?
I don't think so. Just that we tore it apart at utilities to make it acceptable, and we didn't even feel that we really needed this, but in order to apply for state grants and give them that warm fuzzy feeling, they want this language in there. So we modified it to make it acceptable to us to approve. So utilities approved it, and here we are.
Are the changes acceptable for the state?
Should be. We had help from staff.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I'm sure they'll let us know if it's not.
right.
All right, so we have that declaration before before us, and I don't think I need to read it, but it essentially gives the governor the authority to, upon implementing an emergency water conservation restriction, some mitigation of that, of water use, basically at the city level, including not being able to forget where it is now, water lawns, et cetera. So we have that in our code. Okay, with that, do we have a motion to approve this second reading?
Move to approve.
We have a second. I'll second. We have a motion from John, second from Tim. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thanks for utilities doing the work on that and not just rubber stamping it, because it's thoughtful. Okay, so we have a 2022 item. I felt like this was a long time ago, and it certainly was. It was February of 2022. We had a pretty good discussion on the needs of both the fire hall and ambulance hall in terms of expansion or renovation. And we have a large summary of kind of the work that's been done since then. And I don't know who wants to summarize this. Darren, did you want to say anything, or did you wish to kind of give the
Well, I
large?
think a lot of you
takeaway?
remember a lot of the discussions, so I don't think there's a whole lot to add. You know, Darren can update you on the most recent. So yeah, I don't know, Darren, do you want to kind of kick us off? And I'm gonna try to, would you mind just moving that towards him just in case that is helpful, although not too much.
I noticed they can't go past the end of the council table.
Okay, just, yeah, that's good, thank you.
Never works the way it's supposed to.
Okay, is the red light went off?
Yeah,
But there's no green light. Does it matter?
yeah, can you all hear us?
Yes, not,
Okay. All right.
Is it working?
Yeah, you
yeah.
All right, here's where we're at. Here's where we stand today. Kind of, we went through and, this has been a while ago since we kind of addressed this and talked about it, but we started a year or so ago talking about doing some expansion with the fire department and the ambulance service to meet the requirements that we need for both departments. And we kind of started with just an addition off the back of the fire station. And I'm going to talk in regards to the fire hall because the ambulance is a different.
Move the microphone, it's the cable TV.
The ambulance is a different thing, and that's something that they need to address. So today I'm gonna talk just briefly on the fire hall. So we talked about doing an accommodation building where we would share a lot of the facilities, have a bigger meeting room, that type of thing, and the cost that came in on this. When we started out to do, the cost that we came into when we started combining buildings and seeing what we were gonna add to this, it's an outrageous number. I don't feel that this is what we need. I don't feel that's what's best for the fire station. But what I'm looking at is going back to like the original plans that were originally brought up at the beginning of this whole process, and that is to take and put a 30 by 80 addition out the back of the fire station into house all of our extra equipment. So right now our equipment's spread out between the fire station, the sewer plant, and the public works building. And it's by not having it all at the station, the maintenance gets not done on these equipment because they're sitting somewhere else. And then if we get paged out for a certain type of call, we're deciding whether or not that is equipment at the fire hall, is at the city shop, or is it out the sewer plant. So it's just it's not functioning the way we need to have. We need to have more stuff at the fire station so the maintenance gets done and we have the capabilities to get out the door right away. So what I'm asking for is, what I'm looking for is I want to move ahead with a 30 by 80 addition off the back. And I did talk to a local contractor that does steel buildings like the fire station's got. And, the quote came back and he says, well, I think I can do it under 3. So, he does these buildings, that's what he does for a living. So I thought, well, that's not so bad. would actually be a fairly decent, addition to the back of that station. And with that, we would not run, I think we could run off the heat in the station and stuff and would be powerful enough to heat the back part of that building because it'd be wide open anyway. So would be no improvements with that. With that addition, we would, down the road, I would say would probably be short term here before we would, as a group of the department and fundraising, et cetera, we go through and put an HVAC system in the meeting room at the fire station, so we could, right now, if we want to heat the meeting room to 70 degrees, we gotta do the whole station. And I think we can go through and re-insulate, redo some walls in there, redo the bathrooms so they're 100% handicap accessible. With the addition, we move a couple of storage rooms to the back of the addition, and that will free up some room for the both of the bathrooms. It'll make them a lot more, a lot more room in them there. So, but what I'm asking for is I want to get some numbers together. I realize we need to deal with the air exchanger system in that station a little bit. Right now, we're working with a 20-year-old polyvent system that hung down and would go over the exhaust portions of the truck. With the increase in trucks and always moving them rails around, there's one company that makes this system, and it's very expensive because there's only one group that makes this thing. So I know there's some options with getting a better ventilation system in there if we do the addition, even if we don't. But what I'd like to do is get some numbers together. So you can sit here and talk all day, but I'd like to see I would like to get with an architect that helped with the last drawing, because he'll have all the dimensions. And I'd like to see what he comes up with for the architectural part of it. And I'd like to talk a little bit, work with Tony and then see if we come up with something with HVAC system in there, ventilation system in there. Just get some numbers together and then bring that forward and see where we're at. Until we see numbers, I don't know what, I can say 3, I can say 400, I just don't, we don't know what something changes every day. So that quote was given to me, or was he came down, measured out, looked at it and said, this is what I can probably do.
And was that pretty recent, Darren?
Yeah. So, and then, I realize there's some ink, there's some stuff on the building that needs to be touched up. I realize that there's some steel on the outside of the building that's rusted through or rusting out a little bit, but there was some talk on that too, about replacing like certain panels or lower part of the station and build it like a two-tone type thing, which would be another option. But I just want to get some ideas, get some cost stuff out there, and then put it all together on a spreadsheet. We can kind of, see what we need, don't need, we get by with. Because I know there's some talk about building a potential, EMS building or a building where we can house the city hall, the police department, the ambulance and fire. And I know there's always talk about that, but I think right now, what I'm asking for from the fire department side is just something we've been looking for this for many, many years. And for this addition and this extra, we did get some help when Tony built the extra storage up there, but we filled that up in no time. And I'll say that most of that building up there is ours, with our stuff. So it's just, we need to have the space to put our equipment. So that's what I'm at today, is just trying to look to move forward with basically get an architect in there to lay this out for us.
So they'll do the actual design specifications for this
Addition
versus the combined facility, and then you'll be able to work on bids.
Yeah, I would have the same thing, look at like, what's the roof look like, what's the side look like, and then, the air exchange or the ventilation type thing, I can get all that stuff on paper too and just kind of see what we got. I mean, that's my biggest, is trying to get a number together. So.
And it's foggy for me yet, and I just believe that I forget how this impacts our overall capital planning. If you have anything to say about that.
It's a little bit hard, but it's there. It's probably the number's too low, but we've got a number in there, built in there from when we
That's right, you
decided.
did talk about that. That was
In our long-term plans, when we were looking at the graphs and charts, this was in it, along with some hopeful figures for the ambulance as well. The So I think we have a total of about 800,000 budgeted for all of it. Yeah, I guess the only thing I would add with the combined facility, I think I noted this, there was just talk of, okay, one building shared. But then when we came together at the time, no ambulance director, but the fire department, it was like neither at that time, the fire department wasn't supportive of the combined building and neither was the ambulance at that time. It's ancient history of like June or something. So, but I will say that Tim could maybe comment, the ambulance commission had some discussion on their portion of it and they're much more, a little bit further behind in figuring out their needs. But when Darren and I have talked about it, if council is supporting moving forward with this option, if the architect, I think you found out the architect probably doesn't need to come back because they've already been here. They've got everything they need to prepare this. But, the ambulance commission is having discussions and wants to do more research into their portion. And so some questions have been brought up. We do them at the same time. What's the timing of it? I think we're just a little bit further, depending on what's decided with what is going to happen with the ambulance.
They'll charge you hourly, so it doesn't really matter when you do it.
Yeah.
Right.
They'll get their feet, so. All right, any questions for Darren?
So I'm just questioning, what is the ask? The 300,000 just to add the story? What if the architect comes back and wants the HVAC, the exhaust system, the siding, everything changed?
Well, I think
What are we gonna do?
if you give the architect the direction that you just.
Yeah, I was looking
articulated,
for the addition on the back and with that possibility, there was a feathering out 3/4 of the roof also, like, so the addition wouldn't just be like 30 by 80, it would be 30. The roof would have to be feathered into the top, so we'd have to see what the cost factor would be to maybe go all the way to the front of the building with the roof, versus, but the thing is with a steel building, the steel is a lot cheaper than building a stick building, and so your cost is definitely gonna be a lot cheaper than that, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the storage part. We're not looking for,
both facility.
Well, so you also talked about short term, we're gonna have to have these fixed. What short term? 2 years? I mean, if that's the case, then why don't we just spend all the money? I mean, if short term is 1 to 2 years.
well, I don't think short term is 1 to 2 years. I think we're running on a metal building, looking to get 20, 25 years on a steel building. That's what we're going on a 45-year building here. And we had some insulation redone in there a few years back, 10, 12 years ago, when we had the fire down there. We redid some insulation in there. They replaced some pieces on there. Right now, I'm just looking to put the addition on there, and that seems to be and then get some numbers. I don't want.
So tonight, Darren, what you're asking is will we support you going out and getting these new numbers so you can come back and say, here's the real number?
Yes, that's what I'm looking for.
Here, and you and I talking, kind of everybody probably has a good idea how I feel about this. I'm supportive of making this kind of an effort. But I really want us to look at some kind of a public facility, public safety building that incorporates all 3 of our emergency services. We're at the mercy of the county board at this time, and that's really not a comfortable place to be for our police department. The ambulance hall doesn't fit our ambulances anymore, and it needs more space, as does the fire service. I mean, their apparatus floor is too small, just the way it is. Doesn't matter if you add that much on it. It's not high enough. It's not gonna work. So if this works, while we commit to that long-term plan, I'm supportive of it, and what is that long-term plan? If we target that new facility in 5 years or 8 years or something like that, then maybe there's some justification for investing in this minor expansion of that building right now. But I really think we need to look at this more as a whole project and commit to that.
That's philosophically where I'm at too, practically speaking. Obviously, you guys have been waiting. I don't think it's wrong to make some short-term investment, and of course, it's a lot of money. and expect that we would look for instance, state bond funds. You'll see facilities, combined facilities funded that way, or congressional allocation, we're just not learning about as we go. So I don't think we feel, it doesn't make me feel bad to say, yes, this investment is necessary now, even though there's perhaps some long-term planning that will shed light on another solution.
Yeah, I agree. I think, by the time we in reality get around to this long-term facility, and I mean, it's always, we should, and it doesn't happen and we don't talk about it. And so I have no problem making this investment, just to get something done and get something functioning. And then, I think it would be ideal to have that kind of a facility, but when I look at the projects we have going right now and the money we're spending, just the feasibility to do a project like that, in my mind, it's 20 years away, and I don't know if you guys can make it another 20 years.
The other piece of it is, if
Well,
the
yeah,
combined facility is developed, whether any of us are at the table or not, it's not necessarily gonna be at that location. So you have an improved facility, you have an improved building, you have an improved property. So,
Right.
I see that, I feel that way about both the buildings, is that our building, we gotta take care of them, you need them to be enhanced, so you can function. So does ambulance, so we'll just have to work through that.
Yeah, I think the one challenge is gonna be, just based on the discussion with the ambulance commission, every idea that's proposed there, I see as pretty major ideas. That in a couple of months, there might be a major change needed for the ambulance, but I don't know what to do there. We're really stuck on that one. This, I can conceptualize what the needs of the ambulance. I think Darren has shared some ideas there, a simple expansion, but, I don't know, when the ambulance commission met, I think they wanted to go long-term. They weren't.
Yeah, so I think from the ambulance
Yeah.
side of things, I think we know what we want. It's a matter of we've not bid it or pulled out or even talked about numbers.
Mhm.
So, I mean, but again, we're talking major stuff. It's an old building there. The ambulances don't really fit in there properly. The training facility isn't that good. We probably need 2 bedrooms instead of 1. We probably need to update our bathroom, storage. I mean, so we're not talking a small expansion either, yes.
So like everything, you need to know what we need, take care of what we have, know what we need, plan for the future, and figure out what's coming.
So to get those numbers, Darren, figure out that active exhaust system.
Well,
That's a big part of this.
Yep. Yeah, I'm okay with getting numbers on this expansion, but I'm just concerned that, we stick $300,000 into this building and then 5 years down. I mean, I really think EMS should be included, like John is saying here. You guys should be under one roof. That should be you drive around the country, you see the ambulances and the fire trucks in the same building. They're not little separate countries. Okay?
That is, I think we were talking about this.
Yeah.
We've got to provide facilities that are, 2023 going forward. Was it 1968, fire station was built? I think 72, 72, okay. So 50 years old, right? And what, 1981? I think for the fire. I mean, so they're getting old, right? And that technology, what our needs were then were different than what our needs are today. Our training, education, that kind of stuff that you need to do for all of these departments is pretty intense. And when you're, neither one of those facilities provide good training.
No, and I think if we look toward the future and decide building a building that houses the police department, ambulance and fire and city hall or whatever it does, I think having a big training room like that that's combined by all departments would be awesome.
We're really building one.
Yeah, I think that's, then you have your branches off of that building, and I think that would be all right. That would be the way it should be done. But right now we don't have that, and yeah. The ambulance does come over and use the fire station for bigger trainings and things, so it's still there. It's not like it's not doing that, but I agree with that. If there's an expansion or a new building going up down the road, that's something that definitely would be a plus. So.
I think we're all on the same page.
All right.
So we have to close them.
Super. Thank you for all the work that's done, and we'll learn something every iteration of this. I mean, we're part of a meeting where the construction industry is estimating 35% inflationary figures. So then those figures that we looked at back in February that seemed big are 35% more. So we will learn from this.
So just to clarify, Darren has the support to go gauge the architect, get us numbers on the storage expansion with maybe itemized on the side HVAC for the whole thing, or just, I don't know.
I'll work with Tony on that. We talked about doing doing an overall ventilation system in there, and then also take a look at the poly vent system that's in there, and we'll see if maybe updating that, put some newer pieces on that, comes out to be a little bit more economical, I should say, then that would be an option too. But
and then I think we talked about potentially also looking at whatever holes are in the building.
too, and I can have somebody look at that too, and just come back with some numbers. I think that's,
Yeah,
I wanted to get
and
city council approval to move forward before I go any further. Make a,
Yeah, you're not gonna listen to this.
You and I should talk to Katie from engineering as well. Because they're gonna be involved and there's gonna be costs there, and so maybe we can try to minimize that, and get a number from them as well, because they'll have to do stormwater management and retention and different things with that new impervious surface going on the back, so
all right,
factor that in. And then just one last point. We've talked about this before, but I think we need to revisit Greenfield Township and Pepin Township participating in our EMS, as well as other things. They use the athletic field, the new one that'll be coming up, the brush dump, the EMS fire, and we've gone back to them repeatedly asking for help funding this stuff, and it never happens. So I'd be willing to go as far as looking at annexing properties if it's coming down to this, because
Public safety.
yeah.
Ryan and I and Tim have a meeting with the city of Kellogg at their January meeting with the proposal that has been shared with the ambulance commission on an ask for the ambulance. And then next up, I think, is the township of Greenfield, and we'll let you know how those conversations are going. Brian put together a really nice PowerPoint. We've got our numbers. We know the amount that we need. It's a lower ask. Does it include, like, can you share the cost of the buildings? Not right now. I think we like starting with a initial amount. But it's not, I think Jeff has looked at those numbers and we all agree. And so then we're gonna kind of go down the line for EMS. I think for the township contract on fire, we really haven't changed
so we're good
those.
with them. It's been excellent. Been in contact with some of the council people, or they're at township and stuff. So I think our fire contracts are fine. I think the support there is real good for fire. So
Good.
anything else?
Thanks for all the work.
All right.
So then, to add that, what was in the consent agenda is our 2023 appointments and annual designations. It's good to review this because we have a lot of people serving in commission roles, and we appreciate them very much. So for, let's see, our Civil Service Commission, we did receive an application, so Brad Timish is willing to take that vacancy. That's an update to the posted agenda. Ambulance, you still have a vacancy, is that right, Ryan? One vacancy, okay, so.
No, we should be full now.
Okay, it's not coming to my mind who filled that.
Tyler Heinrichs.
It is not listed. Okay, so we will formalize that tonight. So Tyler Heinrichs would be that vacancy for ambulance commission. Okay. On the Wabasha Port Authority, we had a moment here where Craig, though he's no longer a representative of council, still has time in his term on the Port Authority and would like to fulfill that term. And I would very much like him to do that because he's been very key and always present in these conversations with the Army Corps. Jeff, for a long time, has given a willingness to serve on that as well. So Mary Fleechek is somewhat reluctantly stepping away for now. If we have a vacancy, she'd love to be back. So that we can satisfy the need for 2 council members on the Wabasha Port Authority. So that's an update to the, agenda packet, which lists Mary. So instead it would be Jeff Sulla representing council. And of
And
course,
Craig
John,
Falcom then will be,
and Craig would just be a member, a
yeah,
public
where
member.
Mary's slot is.
Yep. I can't remember if he has 2 more years or 3. I think he replaced somebody, so I don't know if he has a full 6-year term, but anyway, he's been very helpful. We have a vacancy on the Heritage Preservation Commission. In fact, we might have 2. Anyway, for sure 1. And then Safety Committee is full. So with those changes, do we have a motion to approve the appointments for 2023?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a first from John, we have a second from Brian. Any further discussion? All right, so the only vacancy, we're still looking for someone to fulfill. Oh, excuse me.
We have one.
I have one more correction. I'm really sorry. You just pulled that. We might have the motion made again. Park board, which I didn't go all the way forward to. Thought I was missing somebody. Park board lost Eric Sonic, and Dean has resigned from the park board. I'm very reluctant to let him go, but that park board is always very good in communicating with council because Tony staff it. So Sharon Burke has Sharon put an application in long before the vacancy even occurred. We really appreciate she's willing to step forward. And then Nicole Grainer has also put an application for park board. So that would complete that commission. So with that correction, we have a motion.
Yeah.
And a second.
My motion.
Okay, we have a motion on second by Jeff. Any further discussion? Did I miss anything, staff? We're good. Great to see a lot of people renewing streets and utilities. Super. All right. With that, any no further discussion, we will call for a vote. All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much to all the commissioners for their continued service and new service. Have you been on parks before, Sharon? Oh, no, awesome. Sharon's been on it, but it's a great group and it's got a lot of energy right now because of the athletic that we all do. Okay, then we have our donations, and those are very generous at the end of the year and beginning of the year, and this is no different. To the library, $100 from Patricia and Thomas Haskett, $1,000 from Linda Tenney, $500 from Devin and Gary Glomsky, and anonymous parties donated in sums of $200, $500, and $500. For the athletic field, there's a $5,000 donation from the Wabasha Fire Relief Association, and to the ambulance, an anonymous $500 donation. Do we have a motion to approve the donations?
No. I'll move.
Second.
I heard Brian first. It was kind of an echo. Jeff is the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. And there are no other announcements, anything from the public to share, then we want a motion to adjourn.
Awesome.
Thanks, Gene. We have a first.
I'll second.
We have a second from Tim. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Happy New Year, everybody. Drive safe. Hopefully it hasn't dropped here while we've been inside. Oh, it has.